All right, welcome everybody. Glad to be back for the week. It is an early starting stream today because there's an early press briefing scheduled for just about a half hour from now. So we're going to have time to look at a bunch of different things, and we are going to, it's just going to be a good day, I think. I have mimetic elements, I have voicemails, I have new tech things to talk about. What time does the stream normally start? There is no sometimes there's no stream. There is no normal time. But let me talk you through some of the different things that are going on. As some of you may know, we are in the process of redoing all of our graphics for them to all be cohesive. So YouTube, Twitter, all these things have been updated. We now have updated the logo that's behind me to also match what's going on elsewhere, which is a really, really great thing. That's happening and it's exciting. Number two, I have an extra microphone. Whoa, I have an extra microphone here. It's not currently hooked up to anything, but what I thought I would do is right now when we do callers, it sounds great on stream, but the callers can't hear me well because they're hearing me through a webcam that's really far away. So my thought was to hook this up and have it right down here so that this is just for the callers to hear me. And then hopefully that will reduce some of the limited problems that, of course, we have with callers hearing me or not hearing me or whatever. So I think that will be good. And that is something that we're going to put in place as soon as I find a cable for that microphone. Hold on. I think I have a cable right here. I think we're going to be in good shape. So that's going to be good. And then what else? I guess that's really it from the standpoint of tech. I do want to deal with Chakaseki's super chat, which is just off screen, but it is there. Chakaseki says, David, are you going to schedule another hangout with Matt Dillahunty? I had the pleasure of seeing him debate the dim-witted vulgarian Dinesh D'Souza in March of 2020. Love the atheist experience. Yes, planning to reschedule with Matt soon. I had what we call a technical issue. And I tweeted, by the way, about Dinesh D'Souza yesterday. I said, whoa, I've got to get myself some of those MyPillow Gym Jams. This is Dinesh D'Souza offering MyPillow jammies with a promo code Dinesh. In case you were, in case of what? I don't know. In case you were wondering if Dinesh D'Souza endorses pajamas, these are the pajamas that he endorses. Okay. So that is that. And we have gotten that out of the way. Okay, good. Welcome to everybody. Yes. I'm still doing super chats. I see people confused on Twitch that even though it is February 1st, you are still a subscriber on Twitch. How could this be possible? Twitch subs run for a month, no matter what day you sign up. So if you signed up on January 18th, for example, you will be a sub until February 18th. It doesn't all clear on February 1st. What else? Oh, thanks to Astrolycos for cheering 1,000 bits. I love that. That's very exciting. And in fact, I want to say thanks to the 3 folks who just grabbed Twitch subscriptions. Very much appreciate that. That puts us at 3. And then also a big thank you to Anastasia Lindquist. Anastasia Lindquist. And Mackenzie Henderson, as well as Len Sokol, all of whom just signed up at joinpacman.com. We have a short month this month. We're going to have to hit that joinpacman.com extra hard. What do you use for your sub and membership goal progress bar? Oh, these are all custom JavaScript elements. Custom JavaScript elements. Firdavs Yuldashev says, hi, David, love what you do. Thank you. Thoughts on the Myanmar coup, says Nicholas. I'll probably talk about that tomorrow. I don't yet know enough about it to be able to say anything intelligent right now. So I'm gonna wait and discuss that tomorrow. Okay, a few things to go over. Let's see where to even start. Have I seen the recent documentary, The Dissident, about Jamal Khashoggi? I have not, but I want to see that. And I apologize. I did not mute my phone, which I will do now. Okay, listen. I predicted that the case peak would be, I know so many of you are tired of me saying this. I predicted the case peak would be somewhere between January 10th and 15th. And it appears as though that is happening. As you can see, the 7-day average peaked on January 11th, and we are going down, down, down. We are down to an average of 150K a day. We have to go all the way back to November 14th to get back to a lower number. That's great news. I subsequently predicted, these are not particularly insightful predictions, but just because we know deaths lag cases by 3 to 4 weeks, that the death peak would be right around now, February 1st. We don't yet know exactly, but as you can see, we have been at this kind of plateau on average deaths for a couple of weeks. We're hoping to see that go down soon. It is now a race between the variants and the vaccines. We know that the variants make the vaccines slightly less effective, particularly the South African, but maybe not less effective enough to prevent immunity. Important to understand. Just because there's a reduced antibody response against the South African variant from the vaccines doesn't mean the response isn't sufficient to prevent you from getting sick. We're still learning about this, but it's just a race. We just have to vaccinate as quickly as possible. And fortunately, vaccination numbers continue to improve. We had 3 very strong days with 1.7 and 1.6 doses. And then yesterday, 1.3 million doses. My prediction this week, we will get to 2 million doses in a 24-hour period. We really want to be at 3.5 million. That's really where we want to be. And on today's bonus show, I discuss vaccination as it relates to me. So that's on today's bonus show. David, I'm hearing the impeachment trial in the Senate will display video and graphic evidence unlike last time. Do you intend to cover? You know, I haven't. I'm going to cover. I think that not covering the impeachment trial would be lame. Covering all of it would be impossible for me to do. So I'm going to cover some. My partner and I are public school teachers in Massachusetts. Where did you find your info on student to teacher COVID transmission? We're being forced back February 22nd. I'm not sure what information you're referring to, Minna. I apologize. We're still waiting for the Hulk Hogan mustache. So yeah, I'll make a deal. If people care about this, and why should you care about this? We're here for the news. But if people care about this, I was going to reshape my goatee today. I was going to get rid of everything other than this and trim it to a uniform length. If we get to our 100 website members and Twitch subs, I will commit right now to today, okay? I will shave this area and I will create a Hulk Hogan mustache. I will go tomorrow on the show, and if we're lucky enough for there to be a stream, or maybe Wednesday, I'll do it in the next couple days. I will do just a full mustache that goes from down here all the way around and down. Okay? All right. Who cares? Anyway, I know some people have been waiting for that. Big thanks to Dennis Karen as well for signing up at joinpacman.com. All right. I have a couple directions we can go right now. I can go MAGA cringe compilation, or I can go voicemails. What do people prefer? MAGA cringe compilation or voicemails? We'll do both. I'm just asking, which do you want first? Oh, it's pretty split 50-50. I know I can do a poll, guys. It's just funnier for me to look at the chat because then I have to evaluate. It looks like people are reacting early to MAGA cringe. All right, let's look at the MAGA cringe compilation. I don't know how many of these are real. Again, I am telling you, I don't know how many of these are real. Let's listen.
I don't know why God put the people that kill babies in hate and want to live their lives completely opposite of his word. Why they succeed in a lie. And why the people that serve him and live their life as best as they can.
Like, is this real or is it a satire? The fact that we can't tell is telling.
By his law, continue to suffer. And now the left is going to say that we're the snowflakes.
Well, yeah.
I got full-grown pastors, okay? Full-grown adult men sending me text messages, sending me inbox messages, asking me when I'm going to repent and resign my church because I said Trump was going to win the election and Trump didn't win. Let me tell you something. Trump won by landslide, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Listen, I'm almost ashamed of these pastors and preachers and prophets that say, well, I'm going to have to apologize. No, you ain't got to apologize for nothing. He won single-handedly, hands down, biggest.
So some of these we've covered. And we did this lady already. We did that lady. Yeah, let's go to this guy. I'm curious what this guy has to say. Hold on a second. Here it is.
Oh, hey, just facts. So the first day in office, the first person Joe Biden fired was a black man. The Surgeon General. What did he do so wrong to you, Joe Biden? Answer me that question. And then y'all call Donald Trump a racist. Wow. You stole the election, Joe. You stole the election, Sleepy Creepy Joe.
Imagine these people thinking that this is going to have an impact on the discourse.
And now you're letting your racist side show. You say that you want to unite this country. Stop racism. But the first person you fire is a black man.
Hey, by the way, I just saw a really great idea in the chat. If Joe Woodward's in the chat, Jethro Bradley, David Dominy, or DJ Physic, or anybody who does our remixes, it would be really great to do a remix of either, hold on a second, either Fleetwood Mac or anybody doing Landslide, where we replace the word landslide with a musification of musification of Trump or others saying landslide about their victory. That's the idea. If people can get to that, and if you can even include some elements from the David Pakman show in it, I think that would be really interesting.
Don't look too good on you, Joe. Jesus forever. Rig 2020.
Good afternoon, my fellow patriots. No need to worry. So listen, the
Is this some kind of filter? I'm not joking. Is her face filtered here?
interaction law is in place now. What Trump wrote back in 2018 is now in place, which stated anybody who commits treason on our country will be arrested.
Uh-oh. I hope a lot of those people are arrested then.
And military will take place. This is why Washington right now looks like a fucking prison. Let me go further. So, basically, when Trump said,
how does someone like this, can someone like this solve a quadratic equation? Like, I'm not joking. What I mean is, if you're so deluded you believe this stuff, could you do math? And I know there are Republican mathematicians. It's not about that. It's a certain level of delusion where, like, if you said to her, hey, x squared minus 25, how would you simplify that? Or it's just so hard for me to imagine.
Yesterday in his farewell speech, you will be seeing me soon. The new administration is going to be amazing. The new administration.
I'm bored, guys. These people are bonkers. I'm going to get away from it. Yeah, we know they exist. I'm going to get away from it. Let me get instead to some of the voicemails I have. I know people are very anxious to hear about the voicemails. Okay, a few super chats though. Solve, you think she knows the quadratic formula? No, I don't think she does. No. My sister's family all got the Pfizer vaccine. 2 weeks later, they got asymptomatic COVID. I have heard this happens to many. How would they even think to get tested if they had no symptoms? That's weird. David, if you're going to get Hulk Hogan mustache, you need to at least go for it until the end of March. If you agree, I'll go subscribe to both the website and Twitch right away. To keep it, I'm not committing to how long I'm keeping it. I'll keep it. I mean, I'll keep it as long as I guess my girlfriend allows me to. I meant that parents cite low student transmission with disregard for teacher ability to contract the virus. Anyhow, feliz cumple and gracias. Yes, tomorrow is my birthday. Just the best birthday present is people signing up on joinpacman.com. That's all we need. I can't believe I have to say this, but I prefer MAGA over QAnon. Interesting. Okay, well, that's certainly something. I do want to say thanks to the 8 additional subscribers at joinpacman.com. No, in all seriousness, though, we had a very rough January from the standpoint of memberships. As many of you guys know, our website is like the primary funding source for our show. Just a lot of people in financial problems, just massive dumps of memberships, people dumping them, like getting rid of them because of financial reasons. People saying, David, I can't do the $2 a month. I can't do the $1.88 a month. So in all seriousness, I know we joke around a lot about memberships. I would love it if you grabbed a membership at joinpacman.com with or without the coupon code. The coupon code is available. We're not means testing it in any way, but I would love it if you grabbed a membership. I will thank members on stream, and if we get to 100 in the next couple days, I will show up and do a show with a handlebar mustache, or I'm sorry, a Hulk Hogan mustache. Handlebar is out, right? I'm not doing out. I'm doing like anyway, whatever that is. Who the hell knows? Can I recite the quadratic equation? Is that quadratic equation? Is that a squared plus, hold on, a squared, I mean, it's been so long that I've done this. Is it a squared plus ab plus b? Now I don't remember. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's the Pythagorean theorem, isn't it? Yeah, people are sending me the Pythagorean theorem. AX squared plus BX plus C equals 0. There it is. There it is. That's an equation, though. Okay. Oh, my God. People are going absolutely crazy right now. Let's talk about memberships instead. It's much better. All right. Let me get to some voicemails, okay? We did talk about anal swabs last week for COVID. China rolling out anal swabs. The Eggman, who we love, checked in with a voicemail about this.
Hey, Dave. I agree with you that if you have like 7 or 8 friends and they've all tested negative and they wear masks and you're going to have a little gathering in your house and they come to your house and you have on-the-spot tests to give them right there with immediate results, I would definitely have a party too and have a gathering. But I'd like to ask you, if you only have anal swabs available, are you going to anal swab all of your guests as they come into your front door? Shalom, brother.
Yeah. You know, I figured out the way that swab works is if you swab and you can't smell anything, you probably have COVID because COVID affects your sense of smell. So there's the Eggman checking in. We love the Eggman, and his sense of timing and delivery is absolutely perfect. Okay. So that's Eggman. And then I have just a wacky voicemail. Let's listen to this one. I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, I don't tell you what, man. I done had enough of your dang old liberal bullshit, man. Is you vote for Hillary, man. You've done voting for Benghazi and man, shit. Like you got like her email, man. They're all like going on like they don't even got her email and shit.
What? What?
Man, I don't even give a shit, man. Like dang old QAnon, man. Fuck the police, man.
Is this a pro or and? I don't know what the political bent is of that. Can anybody identify whether that person likes the show or doesn't? I'm going to have to listen to that. I can't tell if that person is praising me. What is this gentleman saying?
Yeah, I don't tell you what, man. I done had enough of your dang old liberal bullshit, man. Is you vote for Hillary, man. You've done voting for Benghazi and man, shit. Like you got like her email, man. They're all like going on like they don't even got her email and shit, man. I don't even give a shit, man. Like dang old QAnon and man, Fuck the police, man.
If anybody wants that for a remix, just email in through the website. I cannot understand that for the life of me. I don't know what that person's talking about. And then I do have one Troy York voicemail. Hold on a second, though. Hold on a second. Heads up. I do want to thank the 4 additional folks who just signed up via Twitch, but I am seeing memberships fly in. Let's thank some people. Gerald Kramer just signed up at joinpacman.com. Debbie Bro signed up at joinpacman.com. Mert Dizgan signed up at joinpacman.com. Thanks to Portia Brunette. Tron Bardgard is a new member. So is Stephen Lobo. Kat Gravel and Amy Richardson have signed up. Everett Sauter as well as Chris Johnson are new members. And wow, Angela Higley has also signed up. Thank you. That puts us at 30. I very much appreciate that. Okay. All right. And then here is just one more voicemail for us. This is the Eggman. Very, very mad at me about GameStop, I guess.
Hi, yes, Daniel Packman. I'd like to know why, for the past few days, you've not mentioned or made mention of the GameStop stock situation and how, I'm curious if you're worried as...
It is curious, but I mentioned it the day. I mean, we've been talking about, I think we talked about the GameStop situation every day. Every day. I mean, we're off on weekends, but every day I talked about it.
The globalist, that the manipulation of the markets and the
manipulation. Whoa, what is on Troy York's mind today?
Media by a small upper 1% Wall Street finance class somehow could be threatened by this. I've noticed you said nothing.
No, we did an entire segment on it. The segment was even posted to Wall Street Bets, and people seem to like it.
I think you are in support of the urban 1%.
I'm not in support of any. What my position is, I invest in really low fee index funds for the long term and accumulate and reinvest dividends. And I own very few individual stocks. But if you are going to short stocks, you are accepting certain risks. And you can't then say when the risks go south, well, protect me from the risks. The whole reason you're shorting a stock is because there's a possible reward. You've got to accept the risk as well.
Wall Street crowd, because most of them donate to progressive causes.
I don't know that that's true.
Liberals, they're part of big tech. Robinhood shuts down, prevents the average person from...
Yeah, I'm against what Robinhood did.
Being able to trade and purchase GameStop. You are a fraud.
What's the fraud I committed?
Political progressive is fake. You people believe in preference falsification. This is a term that should be used more for the mainstream globalist left-wing media.
Notice the times he uses the word globalist. It's code word for Jew.
You guys are all frauds. The Wall Street funders, they fund these same health public officials who are unelected. They're undemocrat, yet they can...
They're undemocrat? What does that mean?
Shut down business on their will. They make the decision.
This is like a verbal ink blot test.
Yeah, these people who own hedge funds are mostly foreigners, globalists.
I think he's talking about Jews, guys. Okay, so we're going to get away from that. Big thank you to Paul Archuleta. Every time I hear Archuleta, my fellow Breaking Bad fans are going to like this. Anytime I hear the last name Archuleta, I'm reminded of the situation in which I believe it's the janitor, Mr. Archuleta, at the high school gets arrested for the theft of some elements of meth making, even though it was Walt, of course, who was doing that. And I remember Walt Jr. coming in and saying, they arrested Mr. Archuleta. And that's what I think of. Okay, anyway. Paul Archuleta just signed up at joinpacman.com. David Klett just signed up. Tristan Williams and Enda Gormley are new members. Bethany Baker and Karen Clark have just signed up. Judith Gallagher and Bjorn Trail Johnson are new members. Thanks to Franziska Iselli for the new membership. as well as Sherry Wanch. Wow, this is crazy. Eric Harrison and Miguel Alvarado are new members. Also, Zachariah Flanagan and Jayla Montgomery, that's 14. And Dario Mirecki, 15. Memberships are dropping out of nowhere. It's nuts. Let me get to a few super chats. Stephen Chapman says, David, do you know any YouTubers on the right who fight the radical aspects of the right? The idea being to deprogram radical viewers while maintaining core values so they don't feel so completely attacked. No, I don't. No, I don't. Wendy the Terror says, I just think of pork chops. I guess the word archuleta reminds you of pork chops. David Hernandez says, love your show. Appreciate it. Yabbit says, your interviews are fantastic. The one with David Livingstone Smith alone was worth my membership for the year. A happy renewer. Appreciate that, Yabbits. Whoa, extreme zoom. What's going on here? Let's see. Is this live? It is. Seems like something should be happening soon. Let's hope so. Given a quadratic polynomial ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, roots are at negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I'm a Lincoln from Wyoming. I'm a Lincoln from Wyoming, and I'm looking for support for Liz and letters to Barrasso to vote for impeachment. What does that mean? I'm a Lincoln. It was Boomhauer. Is that a meme reference? I don't understand. What is Boomhauer? Boomhauer. Fictional character. Oh, it's from King of the Hill. Let's see.
I think I would have noticed something like that. They're pretty rare, aren't they?
Oh, yes. Very rare and beautiful. Sir, do you know anything about this?
Yeah, man, I tell you what, doing one of them snipe hunts last night, man, with them sticks in the bag and them whack, man, we'd go woo.
Oh, this is what it's let me listen to it. Let me re-listen to it then with that. I'm not a King of the Hill guy, so I'm not familiar with that. Let's re-listen to it and see if that's the joke. Okay, so here's Boomhauer.
Talking about that big mistake, y'all, just right there in that cooler.
Okay, and then here's the guy who called me.
Yeah, I done tell you what, man. I done had enough of your dang old liberal bullshit, man. Is you vote for Hillary, man. You've done voting for Benghazi and man, shit like you got like her email, man. They all like.
I think that's a match. Yeah.
Going on like they don't even got her email and shit, man. I don't even give a shit, man. Like dang old QAnon, man.
Okay, yeah, that's fantastic. This is why I need people to help me understand the memes. Very, very much appreciate it. Okay. Thoughts on Robinhood selling people's GME stock? I'm against it and think it's completely disgusting and they need to be held accountable. There's no other way to say it. All right, here we go.
Monday. Just have a couple of things for all of you at the top. First, over the weekend, the President's Homeland Security Advisor, Dr. Liz Sherwood Randall, convened a coordination call with the acting FEMA administrator and the director of the National Weather Service on the storm system moving toward the Mid-Atlantic region. It's not just moving toward, I think it's clear it's here. If you look outside of our window and up the eastern seaboard, Liz and her team joined the FEMA daily operations briefing yesterday and remain in regular contact with the FEMA response team about changes in the storm forecast and any need for federal assistance. The White House wanted to assess the potential impact and determine any early action that the federal government could take to support communities across many states likely to be affected. Liz also proactively called governors of states in the storm's path overnight and into today, and she will remain in close touch. Those include Governor Cuomo, Governor Murphy, Governor Wolf, Governor Carney, as well as New York City Mayor de Blasio. She expressed the president's intent to ensure close coordination going forward among federal, state, state and local officials in preparing for and responding to weather emergencies.
Beautiful.
Also, as many of you have noted, the president spoke with Senator Collins yesterday, as you all know, invited her and other Senate Republicans to the White House later this afternoon. This meeting is part of the president and his our administration's close and ongoing engagement with members of both parties and on Capitol Hill and on the American Rescue Package. Throughout those conversations, we've underscored the economic and health challenges that our country faces, issues he will, of course, be reiterating today, and the need to move swiftly to address them with a package that is big enough to get schools safely reopened, give financially struggling families and communities
a huge package,
and deliver on his promise to speed up vaccine delivery and defeat the virus. It's important to remember that the size of the package was designed with the size of the crisis,
right?
Dual crises, as we've said. And I wanted to just call out a couple of economists and some economic data that we've seen over the last several days.
Shout them out.
A new report by the Brookings Institution estimates that with the American Rescue Plan, we could boost GDP by 4% and return our economy to pre-COVID levels by the end of 2021. A separate analysis by Moody's Analytics found that the president's plan would create 7.5 million jobs this year and double our economic growth and return our economy back to full employment 1 year faster. The IMF's chief economist said their preliminary analysis found that the plan could boost U.S. economic growth by 5% over 3 years. A couple of other just updates for you. Just today, the U.S. Conference of Mayors sent a letter to congressional leadership urging them to take immediate action on the American Rescue Plan. This letter was signed by over 400 mayors. I know there's a lot going on, so just wanted to highlight it for all of you. And West Virginia Governor Jim Justice, also a Republican, said in interviews today that he agrees that going big in this moment is critical. And last thing I just want to do before we get to your questions.
Wow, right to questions.
I often note I'm going to circle back. I hate to disappoint conservative Twitter, but I am going to circle back on a number of things, as we often do directly. But Hurricane Maria funds, which was a question that was asked last week, the president has made clear, the status of them, I should say, that it is a priority for his administration to release this funding. We are working to do so.
We're circling back, guys.
Process. On the White House fence, which a couple of people asked about, I believe it was on Friday, our goal, the president and the vice president's goal, is for the Secret Service to adjust the perimeter as soon as it makes sense from an overall security standpoint. So we're working closely with them on that, and they are, of course, would be in the lead on that front. And the last piece I just wanted to give a quick update on was there was a question about the White House's support for FEMA's request of troops. We, of course, support a whole of government pandemic response that is catering to the unique issues and needs of our states. FEMA's working in strong partnership with states to get a handle on their needs and accordingly have requested the significant manpower in some cases for this unprecedented pandemic response effort. I expect we'll have more on this as the days continue this week on how they will be utilized. With that, let's go. Darlene, welcome to the
Let's do it.
room. Oh, I know you've been here many times before, but it's our first engagement here. Go ahead.
On the president's meeting this evening with the senators, can you give us a sense of how he views that meeting? Is it going to be negotiating? Is he going to be prepared to counter anything the Republicans might offer? Or is it just a session where, you know, they ask to meet with the president and he's simply giving them an opportunity to voice their concerns?
Well, the president has been clear since long before he came into office that he's open to engaging with both Democrats and Republicans in Congress about their ideas. And this is an example of doing exactly that. So as we said in our statement last night, it's an exchange of ideas, an opportunity to do that. This group obviously sent a letter with some outlines, some top lines of their concerns and their priorities, and he's happy to have a conversation with them. What this meeting is not is a forum for the president to make or accept an offer. So I think that's important to convey to all of you. And his view, it remains what was stated in the statement last night, but also what he said on Friday, which is that the risk is not that it is too big, this package, the risk is that it is too small. And that remains his view, and it's one he'll certainly
You don't want to end up holding a package that's too small.
So what would you say is more important to the president at this point on this first legislative test? Is it going big or going bipartisan? It seems like you can't have both.
Well, I think the president believes we can, and there is a historic evidence that it is possible to take a number of paths, including through reconciliation, if that's the path that is pursued, and for the vote to be bipartisan. But it's important to him that he hears this group out on their concerns, on their ideas. He's always open to making this package stronger. And he also, as was noted in our statement last night, remains in close touch with Speaker Pelosi, with Leader Schumer, and he will continue that engagement throughout the day and in the days ahead.
Go ahead. You mentioned that President Biden's proposed COVID relief package is designed to be commensurate with the crises. This group of 10 Senate Republicans, what they're offering, as you know, is more than a third less. The top line number, the $600 billion, is more than a third less of that $1.9 trillion that President Biden says he wants.
No,
given that, do you see
less
that
than
as
1/3
a
of
attempt at compromise on their part?
Weird way to say it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to give more comment on their proposal. I think they put their ideas forward. That's how the president sees it. He felt it was, an effort to engage and engage on a bipartisan basis, and that's why he invited them to the White House today. But
listen, invite him to the White House, give him till tonight or tomorrow morning, and then just pass the thing without them through budget reconciliation. It's an emergency. These people are not good faith actors. Just pass it without them.
The president planned to invite Democrats into the Oval to have these similar conversations?
Well, I can promise you we're less than 2 weeks in. There will be many Democrats in the Oval Office, and I'm sure this is just the part of our ongoing effort to engage directly.
Asking that again in a slightly different way, there are Democrats who see that the first meeting the president is having face-to-face with lawmakers is with Republicans and not Democrats. I guess why is the White House doing that?
Hopefully to then just say, let's pass it.
You want to call up?
No, but it's been talked about. There's concern that,
Just people talking about it in hallways?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Well, I can assure you that Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer, they have been in very close touch with the president directly and members of the senior team. He has been in touch, but also members of our senior team have been in touch with Democrats across the political spectrum, and that will continue. And there will be definitely Democrats who will be part of conversations here at the White House.
Two others on that. You said in your statement that the scale of what must be done is large. Let's bottom line it. Is $618 billion considered large by the White House?
Well, I think our statement last night made clear that the president believes that the risk is not going too small, but going not big enough, and that his view is that the size of the package needs to be commensurate with the crises we're facing. That's why he proposed $1.9 trillion. There's obviously a big gap between $600 billion and $1.9 trillion. I don't think any of us are mathematicians, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But we can all state that clearly, and so clearly he thinks the package size needs to be closer to what he proposed than smaller.
Inflate the package.
You called out $1,400 relief checks, a substantial investment in fighting COVID and reopening schools, aid to small businesses and hurting families. A lot of that isn't in the Republican proposal. So why have this meeting at all if they're not going to take seriously what he is proposing?
Well, again, Ed, this is an opportunity to exchange ideas, to have a conversation. That's why he invited them over here.
See, this is either all really good questioning or useless. If Biden's just putting a meeting with Republicans on the record and then just going to say, we're moving along with budget reconciliation, screw you guys. Hey, great, we gave him a meeting. Their proposal was ridiculous. If he's actually going to allow them to prevent a substantive package from being passed, then it's a problem.
To ensure that, we can get the vaccine in the arms of Americans. So there are some real impacts, which he will certainly reiterate, as he has publicly and privately in many conversations. But they've put forward some ideas. He's happy to hear from them. But he's also feels strongly about the need to make sure the size of the package meets this moment and feels the American people expect that of their elected officials as well.
Can I ask you a question on Burma?
Sure.
This statement the president just put out, among other things, it says the United States is taking note of those who stand with the people of Burma in this difficult hour. Is that perhaps a message to China?
I think it's a message to all countries in the region and countries who, will be asked to respond or to consider what the appropriate response will be in reaction to the events that have happened over the past couple of days.
Go ahead. Thank you. On Friday, we heard the president come out and say that while he wants to pass this bill with support from Republicans, if we can get it, it has to pass with no ifs, ands, or buts, as he put it. That if we can get it part, should we take that as a sign that the president recognizes he may have to be abandoning his hopes for bipartisanship?
I think it's hardly an abandoning of bipartisanship. We're still at a phase where the House and Senate are working through, as you know, from covering Congress, the entire reconciliation, what the process would look like on the budgetary front this week. Senator Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi have both said they would also like it to be bipartisan. We'll see what comes out of this meeting today, and if there are good ideas to put forward, we'll put forward them. There's still time to do exactly that. And even if through the parliamentary process that the Congress will decide it moves toward reconciliation, Republicans can still vote for that. And there's certainly precedent of that in the past.
You mentioned that the Republicans can still vote for the bill, obviously, even if it's done through reconciliation. But some Republican sources say that's not really bipartisanship. It doesn't satisfy that promise because it's not true compromise.
Well, I think that the 1 in 7 American families who can't put food on the table and the teachers who are waiting to ensure their schools have the ventilation, the PPE, the testing they need, they will tell you that they expect their members to meet this moment. And we saw this as a good faith proposal they've put forward, good faith effort to have a discussion. The president's inviting them here in good faith, and we will see where it goes from here.
All these questions about why is Biden meeting with them. In 24 hours, we'll know what the result is of that meeting and what happens to the package that's being proposed, and then we'll evaluate.
It's going to be much harder to achieve down the road on other issues.
The president is confident that issues like reopening schools, getting shots in the arms of Americans, ensuring people have enough food to eat are not just Democratic issues. He takes his former Republican colleagues at their word, of course, that they're committed to these issues too. And that's why he wants to have the conversation. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. I want to ask you about GameStop. Some lawmakers have proposed legislative reforms like restrictions on short selling and financial transactions tax, that the latter of which President Biden supported during the 2020 campaign. So I want to ask you now if the White House would support actions like those to address the situation.
Well, as we've noted in here several times before, but I just want to reiterate, obviously this is under the purview of the SEC in terms of their review and monitoring. But this is there is an important set of policy issues that have been raised as a result of market volatility in recent days. And we think—
What would be the repercussions if she said something like, Biden has options at $120 per share? Like if a press secretary said something like that, everybody would explode, right?
Other than we certainly welcome the opportunity to work with members who have proposed ideas.
Has there been any direct engagement with those members so far and what they proposed?
I don't have anything to read out for you on that front. Obviously, we're engaged at a variety of levels every day with a range of offices on a number of issues. But I don't have anything more for you on that.
And then lastly, one more on this. Sorry. So there's no confirmed members right now on the Financial Stability Oversight Council. And is it the White House view that lack of officials in place is affecting your administration's approach to this situation?
Well, again, the SEC is looking carefully at recent activities, and if they're consistent with investor protection and fair and efficient markets, that's where we think the purview is and the focus is at this point in time.
Go ahead.
If I can ask one follow-up on the meeting with the Republicans, and then a follow-up on the Byrne question as well. What is the timeline that the president sees for these negotiations to end? How urgent is this? If these benefits are going to end in the middle of March, how much time is there to have these types of meetings, as you say, with Democrats and others that may want to take part?
It's incredibly urgent, and as you noted, there is. There are timelines coming up, I should say, in terms of when the Americans who are applying for unemployment insurance will no longer be able to get access. As I noted earlier, 1 in 7 American families can't put food on the table. We need to plan for how we're going to get more vaccines in the arms of Americans. We need to have funding to help public schools have the preparations needed to reopen. So there is urgency. This is what the president is spending his time on. As evidenced by the meeting later today, and what the majority of our senior team is focused on at this moment. But there is still time to make changes, to continue to have a discussion, and that's why we're kind of escalating the number of meetings and engagements we're having through the course of this week.
On Byrne, if I can, and on the president's statement that he put out, he says the reversal of progress will necessitate an immediate review of our sanctions laws and authorities, followed by appropriate action. Is the appropriate action related solely to sanctions, or what other type of response may be on the table?
Well, I think that's why that was called out in the president's comments. As you know, we removed sanctions, the United States, I should say, removed sanctions on Burma over the past decade based on progress toward democracy. The reversal of that progress will necessitate an immediate review of our sanctions laws and authorities, followed by appropriate action. So that's why he called it out. I don't have any additional steps beyond that to predict for you at this point in time. Go ahead.
Some Democrats are hoping to repeal the $10,000 cap on state and local tax deductions in the COVID bill. Does the president support those insertions? And more broadly, does he support a general repeal of that deduction?
The president supports Democrats and Republicans putting good ideas forward and having a discussion about them. And
I'd rather a better position
how
on
we
that.
move forward with urgency to get this plan passed. But I'm not going to negotiate from here.
Sure. Senator Manchin was a little upset with some comments the vice president made on a local television show. Has the White House reached out to him in any way to kind of clear the air?
We've been in touch with Senator Manchin, as we have been for...
The SALT limit on the deduction really hurts people in blue states more than red states, and it was a disgusting element of the Trump bill, the Trump tax reform bill. I would love to see Biden just take the position, yeah, we want to get rid of that.
Last question on Burma. In regards to Myanmar, what, if any, efforts are being made to coordinate a response with allies such as Japan, EU, and Britain? And has there been any contacts with China to discuss the situation?
We have had intensive consultations at multiple levels with allies and partners in the region and around the world. I would expect many of those would come through the State Department, so I'd certainly refer to them for more specifics. Hans.
Yeah, if I could just follow Burma. In your statement last night when you said you might take action, you referred to it as Burma and Myanmar. Mm-hmm. And in the president's statement just now, he only uses Burma. Is that indicative of a formal shift of the United States government on how we are to refer to that Southeast Asian country?
Well, our official policy is that we say Burma, but use Myanmar as a courtesy in certain communications. So, for example, the embassy website refers to Myanmar because they are, by definition, dealing with officials and the public. The State Department website uses Burma, Myanmar in some places and Burma in others.
So there's no official change. You last night used both, and the president goes 4 times with Burma. Was he meaning to be discourteous?
I don't think that's the conclusion you should draw. Certainly, he is watching this closely.
Yes, he was deliberately being discourteous. Like when Trump said the China plague.
There's still time for negotiation. Can you be a little bit more specific? Is the president going to give this 1 week, 2 weeks to try to come up with a bipartisan solution? And then secondly, the CBO said this morning that the economy should return to pre-pandemic levels by about mid-year, even if there's not additional legislation. So how does that assessment affect what your effective negotiations?
So on the first, I'm not going to give a deadline here other than to say that it is urgent we move forward for all the reasons we've already been discussing, including the need to ensure families can put food on the table, the need to ensure we have time to plan for getting schools the necessary funding to reopen, the need to ensure we can get vaccines in the arms of Americans. Clearly, there's urgency. As you know, and as many of you know who cover Congress, there's a process that's ongoing this week. There's still some time here as that process works its way through for changes to be made. So that was what I was referring to. On the second question, can you repeat the second question one more time?
The CBO, their projection this morning that the economy is going to return to pre-pandemic size by the middle of the year, and that's without any additional stimulus?
Well, the president's plan, as we've been discussing in here, was designed to achieve certain basic goals. Getting shots in the arms of Americans, helping the 1 in 7 families who are going hungry, and the nearly 7 million Americans who are facing possible eviction during a pandemic. The CBO projections for next year's growth isn't a measure of all of these things, right? It's not a measure of how each American family is doing and whether the American people are getting the assistance they need or whether we're able to get vaccines and the shots of people. So, we've, of course, it answers a different question, I should say. So our focus is on what the American people need to get through this crisis, which is why we are pushing for this piece of legislation.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. On school reopening, the Democratic mayor of Chicago has said that it's safe to reopen schools. They've invested $100 million into safety measures, but the teachers there remain on the verge of striking. Does the White House agree with the mayor that if enough funding has been put into place and safety measures have been taken, that kids should return to schools?
Well, let me first say the president has enormous respect for Mayor Lightfoot, and he has also been a strong ally to teachers his entire career. Of course, as you know, Dr. Biden, his wife, is a teacher, so even in his home, he trusts the mayor and the unions to work this out. They're both prioritizing the right things, which is ensuring the health and safety of the kids and teachers, and working to make sure that children in Chicago are getting the education they deserve. So he is hopeful. We are hopeful they can reach common ground as soon as possible.
White House have a role to play here, though, with Chicago and other cities in terms of mediating these negotiations and getting kids back to school?
We certainly remain in touch with a range of parties, but again, we hope that they can come to common ground soon.
And just lastly, on the overall COVID relief package, in terms of understanding what the White House means by bipartisan, would you consider a bill bipartisan if it doesn't have any support, Republican support in Congress, but it has support among Republican voters?
Well, I think you touched on an interesting point, which is that 74% of the public, according to recent polls, supports this package.
I have a segment today about this.
Democrats and Republicans. We just saw the Republican governor of West Virginia come out earlier today and advocate for a big package. So, when the president talks about unifying the country and bringing the country together, he's not suggesting that he is going to.
If 80% of the country agrees with something, but no Republicans are willing to vote for it and Biden does it anyway, it's representative of the people.
Feels they made a good faith effort to put the top lines of a proposal forward, and he wants to have that engagement and encourages that sharing of ideas. So I don't think it's an either or, but I think it's a both, and we certainly feel that the components that are in this package are the basis of what should garner bipartisan support.
So based on the polling you cited, if there's not enough Republican support in Congress, would that be considered bipartisan based on the measures he's setting for himself?
I will let you be the judge of that. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Jen. I have a question for one reporter who couldn't be here because of social distancing. This is a question from Cleve Wooten from the Washington Post. What kind of preparations went into Vice President Harris's interviews with West Virginia stations last week?
I'm not sure what your question is.
What preparations went into Vice President Harris's interviews with local stations?
Like, how did your team prepare her, or can you be more?
Was it part of a larger White House strategy to put pressure on politicians in West Virginia?
Our focus, the bottom line is our focus is communicating with the American people about how the American Rescue Plan can help put food on.
Well, we brought in Chris Christie to play the role of the interviewer.
To school. That's our overarching objective with all of the communications we do.
After Senator Manchin's criticism of that interview, did President Biden personally speak with Senator Manchin?
As I noted before in an earlier question, we're certainly in touch with Senator Manchin and his team, as we have been for some time and will continue to be, and he's an important partner as we look to move forward on this package and, of course, all of the president's agenda.
And I have a question about the meeting with Republican senators today. The proposal that they put forward would take the over $300 billion in aid to states and local governments that Biden has put forward and zero that out. There would be no aid in their proposal to state and local governments. Is that a non-starter for President Biden? I mean, can he even move forward with a proposal like that?
Well, there is a reason that funding was in the initial proposal, including, sometimes the definition of calling it state and local means people don't know what it means, right? It is, and I'm not suggesting you're doing that. We've probably shorthanded it too. That is funding for firefighters, for, local communities, for enabling them to help get through this period of time. I'm not going to outline for you what the red lines are from the podium when there's discussions that are ongoing. But again, the reason that each component was put in the package is because economists, health experts, many that the president and others consulted with felt there were essential components to help get the American people through this period of time.
Can I follow up on that state and local?
Sure.
Republicans are pointing.
Jen, do you think Nick from the Backstreet Boys is a little too aggressive about telling the others they can't sing?
Increase in tax revenues as an example of why that state and local tax relief or state and local relief isn't needed in this latest package?
Well, again, I think our objective is to focus on not J.P. Morgan reports, but what state, local governments and others are telling us they need to ensure that the people in their districts, the resources in their districts, the people who are making government function in their districts have the funding and resources they need. Go ahead. Hi, Amish.
Hi, how are you? Two questions. The first is, does the president support House Democrats moving forward with the process of reconciliation today? There's some reporting that they're waiting for the guidance from the White House.
The president, as was noted in the statement last night, is grateful for the urgency and the pace at which they're moving. And as you know, this process can take a little bit of time. But he certainly supports them moving forward.
I'm pausing. What I would love here is for her to say, the president is working this and understands that Congress will be a regular check on the speed with which the president goes through this. If they determine they want to start that process, that will be their decision to make.
To move a package ahead. But again, the process through the mechanics through which they move is up to them. He's leaving it up to them.
There we go.
And he believes
Perfect.
that there is still room for bipartisan support for this package, which is why he's having this meeting today and why he'll remain very engaged himself and why he's asked his senior team to remain very engaged in the days ahead.
Follow-up to that with reconciliation, is there a timeline that this White House is looking at as, okay, now we have to move forward with reconciliation? You keep talking about how urgent it is.
How long will he wait?
Deadline in the White House's mind or in the president's mind to say, okay, we have to move forward at this date?
Again, urgent means urgent. It means this is going to be the focus of the president, the vice president.
Now, she obviously can't say, but Joe Biden has a deadline of Wednesday night, and then he's saying go for it. You know, she obviously is not in a position to be able to say that.
President, his senior team, hence he's having a group of Republican senators here
soon,
later
though.
today. He will continue to be closely engaged with not just Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer, but a range of Democrats, as will members of our team. And the fact that he's spending so much time on it, and our team is, shows you how much of a priority it is here.
I asked you about COVID. I know there was a COVID briefing today, but one statistic that really stood out to me, and probably to a lot of Americans, is about 47% of vaccinations are coming in with racial data. That means more than 50% don't have racial data. I'm wondering if the president has a fix for that, if there's a legislative or a policy change that's going to be made, because I'm wondering how you ensure that the vaccine is given equitably if you don't know who's getting it.
Well, first, the racial disparities and the impact of this pandemic are not lost on the president. And that's one of the reasons he asked Dr. Marcela Nunez-Smith, who was, of course, part of the briefing this morning, to lead this task force, and why he campaigned on the need for a response rooted in addressing the disproportionate impact on communities of color. There are a couple of steps that we are taking substantively. One includes standing up and supporting additional venues for vaccinations targeted at reaching those at the highest risk and the communities hardest hit by this pandemic. So going into communities and meeting people where they are and not expecting every community to go out and seek and search where they can find the vaccine. Meeting with states to discuss their plans for ensuring equitable vaccine distribution and offering assistance in achieving that goal. So as you all know, and we've talked about in here, governors are obviously overseeing the distribution and efforts to ensure that the vaccine is getting into communities across the country. We are closely engaged with them and looking for ways to help assist in that front and think strategically and creatively about how to do that. And we're also working with CDC to identify and explore ways to urgently improve the quality of vaccination data reporting by race and ethnicity. There's no question it's not the level that we need it to be at.
Is there like a directive that's going to happen, or is there a message to the people that are giving out the vaccines? We need this data. I just wonder how that actually gets changed on the ground level. Is it a president? I don't know if it's a presidential memorandum or a policy change. I'm just wondering if someone walks into CVS, how does that person taking their data say, yes, the White House needs me to get this data from this person?
Well, again, equity is essential and a priority in everything we do, including addressing COVID and the pandemic, which is the president's top priority. I would certainly defer to our health and medical experts, who I know spoke to this a bit this morning, and I think Dr. Marcela Nunez-Smith will be out more in the next 24 hours or so, talking more about steps we can take on this front. Go ahead.
I have a follow-up to Amish's great question about reconciliation, and it's that the Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell back in 2017 famously said, winners make policy, losers go home. Given that, why shouldn't President Biden be as tactically ruthless as Republicans have been in pushing priorities that he champions?
Why not?
Well, I think the president has been clear that he is encouraged by the pace and the rapid pace, I should say, that Speaker Pelosi and Senator Schumer are moving this package forward at. At the same time, as you know, there is time because this process can take a bit to make changes as needed. And he wants to be a part of those conversations. Hence, he invited Republicans to do that exactly here today. I can't speak to Senator McConnell's role or commitment or point of view or anything. He's certainly not asking me to be a spokesperson, Lord knows. But, President Biden ran on a commitment of course, unifying the country, but also of hearing from all sides and engaging and having an opportunity to have discussions. And today is part of doing that.
And quickly, can I circle back, to use that phrase, to a question I asked during the transition?
Anyone can steal it. Just means you have to get back.
So I'll circle back to this. Has the White House made a determination about whether it will continue to extend the privilege of intelligence briefings to former President Trump, given the concerns among some Democrats that he'll either misuse it or leverage it to enrich himself?
This is a good question. I've raised it with our intelligence teams, or our national security team, I should say. It's something, obviously, that's under review, but there was not a conclusion last I asked them about it, but I'm happy to follow up on it and see if there's more to share.
I would be curious.
Right, thank you, Jen. Last Friday, a few dozen men from the white supremacist group Patriot Front were filmed marching on the National Mall toward the Capitol. What is the administration's latest threat assessment on white supremacist groups like this coming to Washington? Is the threat seen as increasing?
Well, I think the fact that there was a tasking done through our national security team on domestic violent extremism that is going to review all activity that could pose a threat, including the activities of white supremacists, tells you what a priority is and tells you that we believe that there is more that needs to be done and a greater assessment. So that review is ongoing. As soon as it's concluded, I'm sure we'll have more to share with all of you about our view at this point in time. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. On just a bit of a housekeeping matter, since the Senate delayed its confirmation vote on Alejandro Mayorkas, does that mean that the immigration rollout that you guys have linked to that confirmation is going to be pushed back as well?
Well, we are certainly hopeful he will be confirmed tomorrow, and we have every intention of moving forward tomorrow with the immigration executive actions that we have discussed in here a bit. Go ahead in the back.
Thank you. Last week, a statue of Mahatma Gandhi was desecrated, vandalized in the city of Davis in California. There is outrage among the Indian Americans, others followers of Gandhi in this country. Does the president knows about it? Does he have any thought? And this for the third time this has happened in this country in last 1 year. Last 2 times it happened in this city itself, in Washington, D.C.
Well, we certainly would have concern about the desecration of monuments of Gandhi, and that's certainly what we would express. Were you sorry, what was the last part of the question you were asking?
Does the president knows about it, and what are his thoughts on it?
If there's more to share on the president's point of view on it, I'm happy to get back to you on that. But certainly we would, condemn that desecration and watch it closely.
One follow-up on Burma, logistic question. Do you recognize the new army leadership in Burma, or you don't recognize that the legitimate government in Burma?
Well, I think our statement makes clear what our view is on the events of the last few days and where we stand with the declared new government.
As you know, President Trump has been barred from a lot of social media sites. Just curious whether you think his absence has made your job any easier, or the White House's job any easier, as it kind of goes
shouldn't even comment on that.
Negotiations.
In what way?
He'd create a lot of noise, right? He would have certain gravitational pull with Republicans who may be more inclined to take a harder position. Wonder if that's been anything that you guys have thought about or kind of considered.
This may be hard to believe. We don't spend a lot of time talking about or thinking about President Trump here. Former President Trump, to be very clear. I think that's a question that's probably more appropriate for Republican members.
She should also say, I wasn't press secretary under Trump, so I don't have anything to compare to.
Who are looking for ways to support a bipartisan package and whether that gives them space. But I can't say we miss him on Twitter.
Does President Biden support the continuing ban of President
No
Trump
position on that.
I think that's a decision made by Twitter. We've certainly spoken to, and he's spoken to, the need for social media platforms to continue to take steps to reduce hate speech, but we don't have more for you on it than that.
Particular way that the president is trying to keep touch with basic everyday Americans, such as getting a sampling of letters that are sent to him, as some past presidents have done, especially as it relates to the pandemic?
That's such a good question. You know, he is looking to remain engaged. It's hard when we haven't done any travel yet, and we're certainly hoping to do that at some point in time to engage with Americans more directly. I don't have anything specific. He does receive, of course, letters. It takes some time for them to come in. As you know, they kind of go through a process once they arrive at the White House. That's something he's eager to have access to. Obviously, there's also many ways to provide feedback or input to the White House, which he's eager to receive too. But let me see if I can get more detail for you.
Does Joe Biden plan to tweet more, including maybe insulting people?
On that. Go ahead, Darlene.
Another housekeeping question. Do you know if all 10 senators are coming to the meeting this evening?
It's a great question.
Are they all coming?
I don't have a official manifest, but we will venture to circle back with all of you on that after the briefing.
Then if I can ask another one on Burma. The president's statement that just came out, he's calling on the international community to come together in one voice to press the Burmese military to reverse what they've done. But do the events at the Capitol on January 6th make it harder for the United States to be part of this international community that he's calling on?
Look, I think President Biden, I don't think the international community sees President Biden as a root of the events on January 6th. And certainly he has made every effort through conversations directly with partners and allies, through how he has spoken publicly in disgust about the events on January 6th, and through his own commitment to restoring rule of law, democracy here in the United States. The United States remains a country in the world that is looked to for leadership, and it's going to take some time, but he's certainly committed to doing that.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Another housekeeping related to the Capitol. Does the president or anyone else here plan to visit Wednesday to pay respects to officers' sick leave?
I will check on his schedule for you, Ed, and if there's more to outline for you. Go ahead, Hans.
You may get into this tomorrow if we have an immigration preview or later tonight, but if for unaccompanied migrants arriving at the border now, after that appeals court decision, are they being turned away right now?
We're going to have a briefing tonight for all of you on our actions tomorrow, and the president will have more to say. So I'll refer to that.
I may be back then.
One of the subjects, one of the items is going to be discussed.
I'm not going to preview it more for you. We're still kind of doing the final review, believe it or not. But we'll have a briefing tonight in advance of our announcement tomorrow. Thanks. Great. Thank you, everyone.
There it is. And there goes Jen Psaki. Very, very important press briefing today. All right, very good. I may be back for that other briefing tonight. Make sure to send me articles or videos you want me to go over on future streams. Memes and song parodies, of course, always welcome. Make sure if you've been watching on Twitch that you follow me on Twitch. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube that you subscribe. And make sure you like if you're watching on Facebook. All right, everybody, I'll be back with you very soon.